People are underestimating you. Every move you make is beyond their understanding. Today you stay silent, but tomorrow your results will shake them. Watch who talks and who actually delivers. A silence is often misunderstood. People confuse it with fear, hesitation, or lack of confidence. In reality, silence can be one of the most powerful strategies a person can adopt. When you choose not to speak, not to announce, not to explain, you are not shrinking. You are positioning. You are deciding that your energy is better spent building than broadcasting. Most people feel an emotional need to be seen early. They want recognition before results. They want approval before progress. But every time you talk about what you're going to do, your brain experiences a small reward, as if the work is already done. That false sense of accomplishment reduces urgency. Silence removes that shortcut. When you don't talk, the only way to release the pressure is through execution. Silence protects your vision. Not everyone deserves access to your plans. Some people will doubt you, not because your vision is wrong, but because it challenges their comfort. Others will project their own limitations onto your future. When you expose your goals too early, you allow outside opinions to interfere with something that still needs time to grow. Silence creates a boundary around your ambition, giving it space to mature without contamination. There is also power in being underestimated. When people think you're not doing much, they stop watching closely. That gives you freedom. Freedom to learn without judgment. Freedom to fail privately. Freedom to refine your skills without pressure to perform prematurely. While others are busy maintaining appearances, you are quietly developing competence. And competence always outperforms image in the long run. Silence forces clarity. When you're not explaining yourself to others, you spend more time listening to yourself. You become more aware of what actually matters and what doesn't. You stop chasing validation and start measuring progress. Every action becomes intentional. Every decision becomes strategic. Silence removes the noise that clouds judgment and replaces it with focus. People who talk too much are often trying to convince. People who are silent are usually preparing. Preparation is invisible, but it is never wasted. The marketplace does not reward loud promises, it rewards consistent delivery. Skills don't care about your opinions. Systems don't respond to motivation. Results are built through repetition, discipline, and patience, all of which thrive in silence. Silence also builds emotional strength. When you don't react to criticism or respond to doubt, you develop control. Control over your emotions, control over your time, control over your direction. You stop being pulled into arguments that don't move you forward. You stop explaining choices to people who won't support the outcome anyway. That restraint becomes a competitive advantage. When you operate silently, you begin to shift from being reactive to being intentional. You are no longer responding to expectations, you are executing a plan. Every day becomes an investment. Every effort compounds. The work may feel slow at first, but silent progress is often exponential. Nothing seems to be happening until everything changes at once. The strongest people don't announce their moves, they make them. They understand that talking is easy, but transformation is demanding. Silence keeps you honest. If nothing is happening, you feel it. And that discomfort pushes you to act. Over time, that action produces something undeniable. Silence is not about hiding, it's about timing. It's about letting your actions mature before they are exposed. It's about understanding that when the results arrive, no explanation will be necessary. People will feel the impact without you saying a word. Words are fragile. They can be challenged, misunderstood, ignored, or forgotten. You can explain yourself perfectly and still not be believed. You can speak with passion and still be doubted. That's because words depend on trust, and trust is not easily given. Results, on the other hand, don't ask for permission to be respected. They don't require belief in advance. They simply exist, and their existence ends the conversation. Most people spend too much time explaining why they haven't succeeded yet. They defend their potential, justify their delays, and rationalize their circumstances. But explanations don't change outcomes. They may temporarily protect the ego, but they do nothing to move life forward. When results are missing, explanations multiply. When results appear, explanations disappear. Results are the highest form of communication. They speak without emotion, without bias, without exaggeration. You don't have to argue with them or promote them aggressively. Proof has its own authority. When something works, people notice. When it works consistently, people pay attention. And when it works at scale, people follow. There is a reason successful people speak less about their plans and more through their outcomes. They understand that energy spent explaining is energy not spent improving. Every moment you invest in proving yourself verbally is a moment taken away from producing something tangible. Results simplify life. They remove the need for persuasion and replace it with certainty. The marketplace doesn't respond to intentions. It responds to impact. No one rewards what you meant to do. No one compensates you for effort alone. Compensation flows toward value, and value is measured by outcomes. When your results improve, your options expand, conversations change, opportunities appear, not because you asked for them, but because results create demand. Results also filter the people around you. When you talk a lot, you attract opinions. When you produce results, you attract opportunities. People who once doubted you start asking how you did it. People who ignored you begin to listen. People who questioned your ability start respecting your discipline. That shift doesn't happen because you convinced them. It happens because evidence did. There is freedom in letting results speak. You no longer feel pressure to defend your path or compare your pace. You move at your own speed, guided by progress rather than approval. You stop competing for attention and start competing with your former self. Every win, no matter how small, becomes a signal that you're moving in the right direction. Results also bring clarity. They expose what works and what doesn't. Opinions are subjective, outcomes are not. If something produces the desired result, it's effective. If it doesn't, it needs adjustment. That feedback loop accelerates growth. Instead of debating ideas, you test them. Instead of talking about potential, you measure performance. Many people fear silence because they believe if they're not speaking, they're invisible. But invisibility during the building phase is a gift. It gives you room to experiment, to fail, to improve without public pressure. Then, when the results appear, visibility arrives naturally. And that visibility carries weight because it's backed by proof. When your results speak, they speak loudly. They cut through skepticism. They quiet critics. They turn assumptions into admiration. You don't need to remind people of your journey or highlight your struggle. The outcome already tells the story. In the end, results don't just speak louder than explanations. They make explanations unnecessary. Attention is addictive. It feels like progress, but most of the time it's only stimulation. Being noticed can give the illusion of movement without producing any real change. Focus, on the other hand, is quiet. It doesn't feel exciting in the moment, but it is the force that turns effort into momentum and momentum into results. When your energy is scattered across too many things, nothing compounds. Every distraction pulls you away from mastery. Every notification interrupts depth. Focus requires sacrifice. The sacrifice of being everywhere, responding to everyone, and reacting to everything. But that sacrifice is what creates momentum. Momentum doesn't come from doing more. It comes from doing fewer things better consistently. Most people chase attention because attention offers immediate feedback. Likes, comments, and praise feel rewarding, even when nothing meaningful has been built. Focus delays gratification. It asks you to trust the process without applause. It demands that you work when no one is watching and keep going when no one is clapping. That discipline separates those who grow from those who only appear busy. Momentum is born in repetition. When you focus on one direction long enough, progress begins to accelerate. At first, the results are small and almost unnoticeable. But over time, those small gains stack. Each focused action builds on the last, creating a force that becomes harder to stop. Attention scatters effort, focus compounds it. Focus also sharpens decision making. When you know exactly what you're building toward, distractions lose their power. Opportunities that don't align become easy to decline. You stop saying yes to things that steal your time and energy. That clarity protects your momentum. Instead of constantly starting over, you keep moving forward. There is a reason deep work produces disproportionate results. It allows you to think, refine, and execute at a level surface level effort never reaches. While others are multitasking, you are mastering. While others are reacting, you are designing. Focus creates a gap between you and the average performer, and that gap widens with time. Momentum changes identity. When you see consistent progress, even in small increments, your confidence grows naturally. Not the loud confidence that needs validation, but the quiet certainty that comes from evidence. You trust yourself more because you've seen what sustained focus can produce. That belief fuels further action, creating a powerful feedback loop. Chasing attention often leads to burnout. The need to stay visible, relevant, and responsive drains energy. Focus, however, is restorative. It aligns effort with purpose. When your actions are connected to a clear objective, work feels meaningful, even when it's challenging. You're not just staying busy, you're building something that matters. Focus also builds resilience. When setbacks occur, momentum helps you recover faster. You don't lose direction because your attention isn't tied to temporary reactions. You stay grounded in the long-term objective. Instead of overreacting to short-term outcomes, you adjust and continue. That consistency is what produces long-term success. In a world designed to distract, focus becomes a competitive advantage. The ability to concentrate deeply, consistently, and intentionally is rare and therefore valuable. Those who cultivate it create results that seem extraordinary, even though they're built through ordinary. Focused effort repeated over time. Momentum doesn't announce itself. It reveals itself through steady progress and undeniable outcomes. And it always begins with focus, not attention. Pressure is often seen as something to avoid, something negative, something that breaks people. But in reality, pressure is one of the most powerful forces for growth when it's understood and used correctly. Without pressure, potential remains dormant. Comfort may feel good, but it rarely produces transformation. Pressure is what forces ability to rise to the surface. Most people try to release pressure by talking. They complain, explain, and seek reassurance. In doing so, they reduce the internal tension that could have driven them to act. Pressure, when held instead of released, becomes fuel. It sharpens focus. It demands decisions. It turns vague intentions into specific actions. Unspoken goals create a unique kind of pressure. When you don't announce what you're working on, there is no external applause to satisfy you. The only way to relieve that pressure is through progress. Every day, you either move closer to the outcome or you feel the weight of stagnation. That discomfort is not your enemy, it's your motivator. Pressure exposes priorities. When everything is easy, nothing is important. But when time is limited, energy is finite, and expectations are high, you quickly discover what truly matters. You stop wasting effort on things that don't move the needle. You become decisive. Pressure simplifies life by forcing clarity. Pressure also accelerates learning. When the cost of inaction is high, you pay closer attention. You seek better strategies. You practice more deliberately. You stop repeating the same mistakes because the consequences are too real to ignore. Growth that might have taken years in comfort can happen in months under pressure. There is a reason valuable things are formed under pressure. Diamonds don't appear in comfort. Muscles don't grow without resistance. Skills don't sharpen without challenge. Pressure is the environment where strength is built. Avoiding it doesn't protect you, it limits you. When pressure is embraced, it creates urgency without panic. You move with intention rather than hesitation. You stop waiting for perfect conditions and start working with what you have. Pressure pushes you to execute now, refine later, and improve along the way. That bias toward action is what separates performers from dreamers. Pressure also builds discipline. Motivation fluctuates, but pressure is consistent. When you know something must be done, you do it whether you feel like it or not. Over time, that repeated action becomes habit. Discipline replaces emotion. Execution becomes automatic. Pressure trains you to perform even when conditions aren't ideal. Many people fear pressure because they associate it with failure. But pressure doesn't create failure. It reveals preparedness. If something breaks under pressure, it wasn't ready yet. And that feedback is valuable. It shows you where to strengthen, what to improve, and how to prepare better next time. Pressure turns effort into power when it's directed properly. Scattered pressure creates stress. Focused pressure creates progress. When your energy is aimed at one clear objective, pressure becomes a force that moves you forward rather than something that weighs you down. Over time, you begin to crave productive pressure. Not chaos, but challenge. Not stress, but stretch. You realize that every level of growth requires a new tolerance for pressure. And as your capacity expands, so does your potential. Pressure doesn't break those who use it wisely. It forges them. Recognition is not something you chase. It is something that follows value. Many people spend their lives trying to be seen, trying to be acknowledged, trying to be applauded. They confuse visibility with worth. But visibility without value is temporary, and applause without substance fades quickly. True recognition is a response, not a request. Value is created in how well you solve problems. The size of your reward is directly connected to the size of the problem you can handle and the quality of the solution you provide. Effort alone doesn't attract recognition. Effectiveness does. When your work consistently produces meaningful results, attention naturally turns in your direction. The mistake most people make is trying to market themselves before they've mastered their craft. They want influence before impact. But influence is granted by the marketplace when value is undeniable. When you focus on becoming useful rather than visible, recognition becomes inevitable. Value compounds quietly. Each skill you sharpen increases your capacity. Each experience you gain adds depth. Each improvement, even when unnoticed, raises your standard. Over time, that compound effect separates you from the average. Suddenly, what you do is harder to replace, and what you offer is easier to trust. When you deliver real value, people begin to talk about you when you're not in the room. Your work becomes a reference point. Your name becomes associated with reliability and results. That kind of recognition can't be forced. It emerges from consistency and excellence repeated over time. Value also attracts the right kind of attention. Instead of chasing approval, you attract opportunity. Instead of seeking validation, you gain leverage. People who recognize value want access to it. They want to collaborate with it. They want to invest in it. Recognition shifts from superficial praise to meaningful demand. One of the most powerful aspects of value is that it removes the need for self-promotion. When something works exceptionally well, it markets itself. When a solution is effective, it spreads through recommendation, not persuasion. You don't have to announce excellence. People experience it and share it. Value creation requires patience. There is often a long gap between effort and recognition. During that gap, many people quit because they don't see immediate feedback. But the absence of recognition doesn't mean the absence of progress. Growth is happening beneath the surface, even when it's invisible. Those who stay committed during that quiet phase gain a significant advantage. While others are distracted by external validation, they are increasing internal capacity, they are building skill, discipline, and confidence rooted in competence rather than praise. When recognition finally arrives, it rests on a solid foundation. Value also protects you from trends. When attention shifts, value remains. When platforms change, value adapts. When opinions fluctuate, value holds. Recognition based on value is durable because it's anchored in substance, not hype. The moment you stop chasing recognition and start focusing on contribution, your trajectory changes. Your work improves. Your standards rise. Your results speak more clearly. And without forcing it, recognition finds you because value always attracts attention in the end. Reputation is not built in a moment. It is built in patterns. One impressive action may get attention, but repeated behavior earns trust. Consistency is what turns effort into identity. It's what causes people to associate your name with a certain standard, a certain outcome, a certain level of reliability. Many people want to be known as disciplined, successful, or dependable, but they act inconsistently. They show up when it's convenient, perform when they feel motivated, and disappear when things get difficult. Reputation doesn't respond to intention. It responds to evidence. And evidence is created through consistent action over time. Every time you show up, you cast a vote for the kind of person you are becoming. One action doesn't define you, but repeated actions do. When those actions align with excellence, they create a narrative others begin to trust. Over time, people stop questioning whether you can deliver. They assume it. Consistency simplifies success. You no longer rely on bursts of motivation or moments of inspiration. You operate on systems and habits. That reliability produces steady progress, even on days when enthusiasm is low. Consistency turns effort into something predictable, and predictability builds confidence in others. An undeniable reputation is formed when results become expected. When people are surprised by your success, you're still early. When they expect it, you've arrived. That expectation is earned through repetition. You've done it before, so you're trusted to do it again. Consistency also compounds skill. Each repetition refines technique. Each attempt improves judgment. Each cycle increases efficiency. What once required effort becomes instinct. That mastery shows in the quality of your outcomes, and quality reinforces reputation. Many underestimate the power of small, consistent actions because they don't feel dramatic. They don't create instant recognition. But small actions done repeatedly produce results that feel extraordinary to those who don't understand the process. Consistency turns ordinary effort into exceptional performance. Reputation built on consistency protects you in difficult seasons. When results temporarily dip or challenges arise, your track record speaks for you. People give you the benefit of the doubt because you've earned credibility. Inconsistent performers don't get that grace. Their reputation is fragile because it isn't supported by history. Consistency also attracts higher level opportunities. People prefer working with those they can rely on. When you demonstrate stability and follow through, you reduce risk for others. That makes you valuable. Trust opens doors that talent alone cannot. Being consistent requires discipline, not intensity. Intensity burns bright, but fades fast. Discipline endures. It keeps you moving when progress feels slow and recognition is absent. Over time, discipline creates a rhythm that carries you forward even when circumstances fluctuate. An undeniable reputation isn't loud. It doesn't need promotion. It's reinforced quietly through results delivered again and again. People don't just hear about it, they experience it. And once that reputation is established, it precedes you. Consistency doesn't just build success, it builds certainty. And certainty is what makes your reputation impossible to ignore. You don't need to say a word, your results will speak for you. The world will only get to witness, and then everyone will realize true power lies in action.